Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for joining me on another edition of Keep Calm and Carry. We are another Monday. We're here on another Monday. Can't believe that it's gone this quickly. It just seems just like a few days ago, I was talking to Matthias on last week's show, and now we have another great guest. Before we get into all of that, let's talk about what's going on with the channel. Let's talk about who's going on in the chat room and all of that jazz. Naturally, if you guys are here for the very first time, let me know in the chat room. Say, hey, this is my first time, or whatever the case may be. I would love to see who my first timers are. If you're not subscribed and this is your first time, please consider doing that. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. It really helps my channel out. And naturally, if you guys are not subscribed to my guest, you're part of my channel, you're not subscribed to my guest, need to go and do that, because we're going to have a great discussion, and we're going to hopefully see this channel blow up here really soon. And we'll get into some of the reasons why here in a second. Let's see who is in the chat room. First and foremost, we have my bestie, freaking Ashley McGuire, jumping in there. Two of my favorite people. Can't wait. And she was in there early. It's good to see you, Ash. Always good to see you. Dr. Cat Milk's in there. He's like, oh, hi, Mark. So, hey. Jacob S. Scott 79. Let's see. Alec Bryson. Good to see you, man. Tucson's finest. I know it's Tucson, but I always said it Tucson because that's the way I remember how to spell it. Joe Morgan, what's going on, man? Trenton, good to see you, bud. Yes, I was 1/1000th of a second off. Thanks for keeping me honest there. All right, guys, we'll have some more people joining in, I'm sure, here in a little bit, but it's great to see you guys interactive. In there already. Tammy, what's going on? Good to see you. I owe you a phone call. We will get that phone call set up because we've got some business to get taken care of. We've got some things to get arranged. So Tactical Pineapple's in there. Lag Demon, good to see you. Man, freaking, you gotta hate the lag. Gotta hate the lag. Let me take a little sip here. And Alan Powell, good to see you as well. So a number of things, another things going on with the channel. Just real quick, I just wanted to let you guys know that right now my schedule is off the chart. I've got so many different things that are going on. I'm writing an article for Palmetto State Armory for their blog site, putting a lot of attention on that. I'm also writing a 10-page helping someone out with their master's program, not only their ability to get a master's degree, but also just kind of help them understand how to write. So that's going to be a lot of time that I'm kind of taking away from the channel to put towards that. So I do apologize on some of the lateness on my video. I've got a calendar sitting in my office right over here that is telling me, hey, these are the things that you need to be doing. I'm way behind. I'm going to catch up, I promise you guys, but fortunately right now, my schedule is whack. It is so whack. But the very next video that I will have out, I am recording and editing all of that tomorrow, is going to be my BCM video. So I did pick up a BCM Mark II BFH, and man, let me tell you, I've got some things to talk about when it comes to that rifle. That's something else, and you guys will hear all about it in that video. Hopefully will be released by the week, if not sooner. So just be prepared for that. If you guys are part of the Patreon crew, you will see that early. So if you're interested in becoming part of the Patreon crew, links are all down in the description below. So let me get some things pulled together here. I've got some notes because I like things rolling just a little bit. So wanted to make sure that I am prepared here. I'm usually better prepared. It is what it is. Okay. Last thing that I want to say is I'm working on a guest for next week. The guest for next week has not been confirmed, but if I do get him, I will be really excited about it because there is a very important issue with the 2A community that we need to talk about, especially with a particular manufacturer. And if at all possible, if I can get the owner of Tommy Belt, I'm hoping to get him on the channel to talk about what's going on with the ATF kind of cracking down on his company and understand why that has actually happened and what needs to happen for the people who are interested in purchasing a Tommy Belt or has one already. So waiting to hear back from him to see if he can make that happen. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this live chat started. I've talked a little bit longer than I wanted to. Let us say hello to the AK variant of your AR. This is KLAYCO. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Exactly. How you doing? How's things going on down south there? You guys get thawed out?
Well, so I'm in Texas, and as you know, Texans are slightly retarded when it comes to cold things. So there was this white stuff that just fell from the heavens for like a week. We got down into single-digit temperatures, and I don't know. I don't know what you call that stuff. It was fun to play in it. We played in it, and then we never wanted to see it again. So whatever that stuff was, let's hope it never comes back. It was terrible.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm up here in Kansas, and we were in single digits to below zero. Luckily enough, I found out that one of my pipes was frozen right before I started my live stream with Othias last week. Oh. So I was fighting that Monday night, all day Tuesday, and most of the day on Wednesday. So for those of you that didn't know, my birthday was last Tuesday. So I spent all day on my birthday fighting frozen pipes.
Hey. We had one blow up in the ceiling. And what was so funny, we're sitting there on the couch and we're watching a movie, and Rachel's pausing the movie and she's like, "Everyone shut up. What's that noise?" I'm like, "It's the dog or something. Put the movie back on." She's like, "No, I hear something." I'm like, thank God she said that, because the pipe was spraying in the attic. She heard it. I would have sat through an hour-long movie and water would have just been spraying. So I moved faster than I've ever moved in my life. It was freaking nature, fastest kid alive. Killed the main line, capped it. Superhero saved the day. Back to the movie.
Awesome.
It was terrible.
How did you, just for us idiots out there, because I'd never had an experience with a frozen pipe before. I've lived on this earth 43 years and never had frozen pipe until now. And I didn't know what to do. And if there was a burst pipe, obviously I know to turn off the main, but outside of that, I don't know how to repair it. What did you do to get that handled real quick?
It depends on the material of pipe. So we have copper pipe. So, for instance, we had a pipe that went from, 5/8 down to 1/2 inch, and it teed off to 2 ends of the house and went down to 2 outside faucets. So one of those broke. So all you do is when you kill your water, just cut it, isolate that section of the pipe that goes outside wherever it broke, which is all I did. So with copper, you just buy what's called a compression fitting. So make a nice clean cut, slide your compression fitting on. A couple of wrenches tightening against each other will actually compress onto the pipe, and then you thread a cap. There'll be metal threads on the other side. Thread a cap on it. That stops the water from going past that point. You can turn your water back on at that point. All you've done is stop the water from flowing past the break, and you can have your water in your showers and everything. If it's PVC or anything else, just glue on a PVC cap where you cut that line, and you're back in business until you have a plumber come fix it permanently. That's the best way to do it to get your water back.
That's good. I mean, I can tell you just from hearing that and everything that I learned from I've learned more about plumbing in the last 7 days than I have in the 43 years of my life. So anyway. All right. But we're not here to talk about plumbing. Not at all. It's good to see that you're good down there in Texas. I'm glad that everybody's healthy. You guys have water and food and everything's running normal. So that's good. But for those of you, for those of us out in the chat room or not familiar with KLAYCO and what's going on with you, kind of give us a quick rundown of who you are, what your channel is all about, and let's go.
Well, hi, I'm Clay. And first of all, thank you for having me. So huge
Oh
honor.
yeah,
We
absolutely.
watch your show every Monday, Rachel and I.
Shucks.
So the Instagram handle, the YouTube handle, the Facebook page, it's all KLAYCO47 spelled with a K. We actually got that name from some of the very first AKs to ever be imported into this country. The old KLAYCO spelled with a C, Chi-Com Import, some of the rarest of the rare AKs ever at this point. And someone sent me a message one day and said, you should change your name to KLAYCO47 because of that. Same, but different. So we did that. But at the time, we were just started an Instagram page and was really getting into AKs hardcore, and we were shooting competitions. And I guess the magic sauce was in the beginning, we were shooting competitions with AKs when not a lot of people were, and we were winning a lot of competitions with them, and it was kind of getting a lot of double takes because you don't see that. So the Instagram really started to blow up naturally because that was not something one would do if you wanted to win a match. If you wanted to lose a match, you bring an AK to a match, but we were winning. And we started to acquire some sponsors, AK sponsors that couldn't get the light of day from dudes with ARs because they don't need any of that stuff. So people like JMax, SaberWorks, M13, people like that were making awesome AK products, took a chance on us, and it helped us out. So big Instagram blew up just doing AK content only, and it attracted a pretty big following. And I still to this day don't know why. I guess we were doing something people enjoyed. And not too long after that, we all sat down and decided, we go to all these big AK events. I would love to give back to the community and do my own AK event. So I partnered up with Tony at Kyber Customs. We all know little cheese graters that you put on your AK. That's Tony. And Mike and Lan at Dissident Arms. They're the dudes that makes the bad to the bone shotguns, the Vepr shotguns for competition that are currently holding the World Open Championship title in France. So one of their shotguns beat the world, even beat the Russians, and those are the guys hosting our match. So
wow.
We're in good company. They know AKs, they know competition. Tony and I know how to party with AKs. So we all decided to give you Kalash Bash, this right here. It's the largest AK event, if you will, AK festival in Texas, hopefully one day the world, where you and people like you and me and the like-minded people that really get down on AKs could come out and spend 2 to 3 days with each other, have a blast, for lack of a better term, competing, partying, and hanging out with vendors, all surrounding this awesome platform that is the AK. So that's a little bit of what I do.
That's awesome. And I can tell you, we'll get into Kalash Bash here in just a little bit, but I have been, how should we say, peer shamed into not making it down there as of yet, but it is happening this year. So I will be down there. No problem. Now it's interesting that you bring up competition shooting and, shooting AKs in competition, because that's by and large unheard of around here. Not that we have too many competitions in my part of the state. There is one, and it's it's run very well. The guys who run it do a very, very good job, but it's just kind of thrown together. Stages are good. We have a good range to shoot at, but it's not anything that I've seen guys do. You guys have a lot of interactive targets, which is really, really cool. But we've never seen anyone run an AK except for one guy, and this was about 3 years ago. Pushing almost 4 years ago now. I saw him run an AK. It was a 5.45 AK. I'm not sure what it was. I'm pretty sure it was an Arsenal, and he had spray painted it and everything. It looked ridiculous, and I kind of chuckled when he pulled that out and started running, because it was the spray paint scheme that he had on it was all these loud colors, and the paint scheme wasn't done very well, but he ran it and he did fairly well. I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think he beat me, but he knew exactly what he was doing in that competition with that AK. So it had me looking at him twice. And honestly, I'd have to say that I was I had preconceived notions of what was going to happen and was shocked, especially when the first stage he gets up and he just burns down all of his targets. Did a decent run, and then I get there and I fired my first round and immediately freaking double feed, and I'm just like, oh, God, So I'm sitting there fumbling with my AR and everything. Anyway, so that's one of the things that you have a lot of videos on your YouTube channel. Again, guys, if you guys are interested in supporting Clayco, I encourage you guys to do so. I've got all of his social media stuff down in the description below: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can just go in there, click follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. But you do
Awesome.
a lot of videos on your competition. What has been your experience with people in your area as far as shooting AKs? I've seen some videos that there's a few more AKs in those competitions than I would have expected. Is it growing?
It depends on the match. So early on, what got me into it, if you just want to start from the genesis, Red October did their very first year ever. A lot of people in the comments I know had been to one or probably were at that very first one back in 2016. And the only matches that I'd ever heard of were IDPA, USPSA, 2-gun, 3-gun, all the typical stuff. Straight up carbine matches in and of themselves aren't that easy to find where you're just shooting rifles. Usually it's multi-gun or it's just pistol. And this was an all AK match. Like nothing else was allowed, only AK variants. And it was kind of cool. It's like, wow, shoot an AK and you're going to be just as competitive as the guy next to you because he has to use an AK too. And that's what really gave me the bug. It at least showed me that to not be shy and just try it. Shoot the AK at the match, try it. And we finished, I remember that was one of my first matches ever. And we finished top 25%, which gave me confidence. We met some dudes there that told us about a competition that was happening near us in Corpus, and they did a carbine match. And they actually had an AK division, but he was like, man, only like 2 dudes ever joined the AK division. They're probably going to scrap it one day because nobody joins it. So me and my buddy Chris, we started shooting this match, and over time, it was like Chris and Clay, first, second, finish as the months were going on. And dudes were like, it was turning a lot of heads, and all these guys had been shooting, and we're out of our element. This isn't even our hometown. It was awesome. Just like you said, when you saw that guy shooting the AK, you had this preconceived notion that either he doesn't know what he's doing, can't afford a real gun, or get ready for the shit show, right?
Yes,
I love that feeling. I eat that feeling. I eat it like gypsy tears. It's just awesome. I love going to a match, especially when no one knows me there, and I bust out an AK, and I just know dudes are like, oh, okay, all right, and just try to smoke a stage as best as I can. And I try to listen. I can hear people go, what is that? What caliber is that? Just can I see that real quick? It's just it's awesome because you know you're changing minds and you're at least making people think that, well, there is a gun outside of the AR-15 that can actually make things happen at a competition. And it looks like I'm having fun. So, but like you said, less AKs back then. But we were lucky enough to find a group of guys that all wanted to shoot AKs at the match. So we had a nice little tight knit group, but outside of like our home team space, traveling around, especially doing 3-gun, absolutely not. Unless it is a box fed, magazine fed, like a Vepr 12 shotgun, that has a really strong place in 3-gun because anything mag fed is going to increase your time when you're going against tube fed or breakovers or whatever. But carbine, you never see AKs at 3-gun. You never see them at 2-gun. I feel like only in the last 2 years you've seen this boom and people really shooting AKs and matches designed specifically for it. Just this year alone, we have Red October, we have Kalash Bash, we have the AK Masters Championship, we have Thunder on the Tundra, you have Las Vegas doing Wolverine Wednesdays. None of this existed back then. And now it's like, I think out of necessity because the ammo's there, it's kind of helping the AK become awesome, or at least making people know that it's awesome now because they're being forced to shoot it to save money. It's a totally different world than it was 5 years ago. 2 big things. One, the aftermarket for AKs has completely exploded. Think about what we had to buy. It was like Tapco stuff 10 years ago. Like if you wanted to church up an AK, it looked terrible. There was nothing available, nothing quality anyway. Now, think about the stuff. You have the RS Regulates of the world. You have the JMAC Customs of the world. You have people like Meridian Defense putting guns in like Coleon Noir's hands and these huge names. You have Grand Thumb with Jim Fuller built AKs with all the Zenitco stuff. It is becoming very in vogue to be into AKs, and you're really starting to see that shift at competition. So I think now it's definitely getting really normal to see AKs, but it wasn't like that a few years ago.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I can remember last year at SHOT Show going in talking with the Kalashnikov USA guys. and sport at the competition AKs that they had available. I think through what you said, it was Defiant, is
Dissident.
Dissident.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff with, especially with the way that they've set up their to where you set up to where all you have to do is pistol turns
Mm-hmm.
off the that was ingenious, and to see explosion of companies like been around, Krebs Customs. If you've got kind of a customized AK, one of the first things that you're going to see is a Krebs custom safety lever on it.
Yeah, it's like a go-to first upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody, but I mean, a lot of people are doing that, and you've got companies that are now mimicking that. I know that like it, love it, hate it, it doesn't matter. But Palmetto State Armory with their 103 variant, it's got that little lever, that little ledge on their safety lever. So it's really cool to see more and more of this come in, and the idea that, just as Jim said on my live stream a little while back, he says, when he got into it, the people he was working with, the people who were running gun shops, were Vietnam vets and were disgusted by that rifle. So it is very much
like voting for communism to own an AK, to be interested. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? Not even, I remember him telling that story. Dude's not even taking it seriously when you walk into a gun shop and ask, can I get some gunsmithing done? If anything, giving you an attitude like you're doing something wrong, even asking that question.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't imagine those days, being so hardcore into it now that it had such a stigma. But I think we all can admit the AK still has a lot of stigma behind it, even today.
Mm-hmm.
Even today, it still gets called the bad guy gun, a gun that's built by kids up in the mountains in the Khyber Pass somewhere. And I think most of us know it couldn't be farther from the truth. It just happens to be the most popular gun on the planet, but a lot of bad guys do gravitate towards it.
Well, because it's so inexpensive to get your hands on one, and you will be able to run that for a very long time. I think the AR platform ends up being a little bit over-engineered, and their tolerances are, obviously a lot tighter. So if you get, you get a lot of carbon buildup, you run it dry, it makes it extremely difficult for it to run. However, a AK, in most cases, are going to be somewhat overgassed, and I've got one AK I haven't cleaned in 3 years, 2 years. I haven't cleaned it in 2 years, and didn't even clean it when I pulled it out of the box. I've ran it. I haven't put a whole bunch of rounds through it, maybe 500-600 rounds through it, but haven't cleaned it yet. No problems. So, anyway, what was it that really kind of gravitated you to the AK platform? I mean, was there something that you saw growing up, or is it just, someone said, hey, shoot this, and you just fell in love, or what was it?
I remember, I think there's like two milestones that come to mind. I remember I was in high school. So keep in mind, I'm 31. So I graduated in 2007. I was a freshman when the Clinton ban ended. So I was a kid growing up during all of the ban era thumbhole stocky things with no threaded barrels. I have vague memories of that. But I was very fortunate because my dad is a huge gun guy and always had FALs in the house, big 20-inch H-bar Bushmasters. That was like the thing to buy back in the 90s. And he just always had cool pre-ban stuff. But never any AKs. He always had SKSs and all this stuff. So I was never around AKs growing up until high school. And then one day I come home and there's this Wasser 10 sitting there with the wood furniture, the bayonet, all the stuff. And he's like, I found this at a pawn shop today for like $300. I thought you'd like it. I'm like, as a kid, it's this big, cool, scary AK. Like I'd only shot ARs and stuff. And it just felt so dirty to have one of these things. And I had that thing forever. I mean, many bump fires into dirt pits with that thing, shot much trash with it, just all through high school. That was the bullet hose. And I just loved it. Threw it just the gun I threw in the back of the Jeep. I treated the ARs like, like fine china and gun cases. The AK was just sort of an afterthought. I'll bring that too, throw it in there and just throw some ammo in with it. But it always ran and it always stuck around. Other guns came and went, but that Wasser always stuck around because my dad gave it to me. And I remember I was in my first apartment and I had bought, I think, like an SLR rail and some stuff. I wanted to church it up for the first time. And I remember changing the look of this thing going, I sort of saw this potential that, wow, this AK can look pretty legit with some normal stuff that's coming out right now. And SLR Rifle Works was brand new at the time, and they had these free floated rails, and something about that just did it for me. A bug bit me. Then I bought an SLR 107 right after that. And then I bought a Krebs Custom right after that. It just kept going and going. An AR would leave the safe, an AK would replace it. Eventually, every AR I owned was gone, and it was nothing but a safe full of AKs. And I think the other thing that really just did it for me, I went through the whole phase of getting just completely ate up with ARs. I mean, the build, just slapping together an AR if I was bored, buying an upper here, lower parts kit there, literally from a box of parts to an AR on a coffee table. And it just felt so easy, and eventually became really vanilla and saturated, and everyone had one. It was almost, and I'm going to hurt some feelings, it felt like it wasn't special anymore. But my AK always felt special, and a new one felt even more special than the last one, and the other one felt even more special than those two. And I was fondling the AKs more than anything else. And I got to where I don't even get excited about ARs anymore. It takes a really special AR to get me excited, usually a classic one. But I don't know, man, it just sort of spiraled from there. Then I started shooting the competitions with them, and that was a wrap. That was a wrap. The best thing I can tell people is, if you're into cars, if you're a car guy, I'm sure that the automatic Corvette with the V8 is repeatable. I'm sure it has a faster lap time and you can't mess it up. But I'd probably take the Corvette with a stick shift, even though it might be slower and I might miss a gear from time to time. I'm going to have way more fun. That's the AK compared to the AR to me. That's the Corvette with the stick shift that I just want to go rip. The AR is the repeatable automatic transmission that is really hard to mess up. And to me, it's just a little less fun. So it's fun. At the end of the day, to me, it's just more fun.
Yeah. And in what world did you ever think that you could now find an AR cheaper than an AK?
Never.
I'm very upset at myself because in 2019, when I did buy my first Comblock AK, it was a Cougar RH10. I liked that combo block looking setup. But then after a bit, I was just like, man, I should have got a Wasser, And I ended up selling my RH10 just a few months ago to my FFL. He took it off my hands, gave me a good price for it. And I looked at a Wasser last night, no kidding, last night, and the cheapest one I could find was $950.
Oh,
and
man.
That was bidding. It was $1,000 to buy now, but the bidding on it was at $950. I'm just like, God, what am I doing? So I have two AKs right now. They're both Palmetto State Armory AKs, and
for the price, I don't see how you could argue with that. I mean, their 74 is selling for like less than $1,000. A 74 in today's market selling for less than $1,000. Their fixed stock version, I would buy one. I mean, I know you have a really special kit that you're working on. That, when all that's done, that gun is going to be worth its weight in gold, especially if the right builder builds it.
Oh, he's built it.
And I know he is. But to think you could get a gun that shoots that round, that at least gets you close to that experience, really close, for less than $1,000, those days are gone for Comblock guns, and they're never coming back. I don't think the market's ever going to correct lower than what it is now. Maybe a little once the coof goes away, but the glory days of getting into AKs is gone. I feel bad for new guys right now that are taking an interest in it, and they're starting to search. I get the messages constantly. What do you think of this Yugo? What do you think of that Yugo? Because it's like the cheapest Comblock gun available right now. Not a good time to get into AKs.
Yeah, and it's
really
interesting.
bad time.
interesting that you bring up Yugo because Jack Rip, he just jumped in there and says at the price, get a Z-Pap. They're still around. And I will say that the Z-Pap that I had was good. I really, really liked it. In fact, it's one of the flattest shooting AKs that I had. And then their newer AKs with the 1.5 millimeter receiver with the bulge trunnion, with the RPK trunnion on it. Those are pretty good too. I still have my Zastava Z8556, the 556 Crink, which I need to get it out to the range a little bit more. So
I got one of the safe. It's one of my newer guns.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I did have a question in here from let's see, was it from Jacob? He says, I know my opinion on this, but I wanted to get yours. How do you first get involved in any type of gun competition or match? Basically, what do you need to do to get involved in something like that?
Good question. We got to find the place to do it. So the easiest way to do that I know of, practiscore.com. So it's practiscore.com. Make an account on there. It's totally free. It's going to ask for your zip code, and it will give you a map with dozens of matches happening all around you with dates, links to sign up. And you probably never knew these places were around you happening, but that's the easiest way. There's a lot of matches that don't book their matches through PractiScore, but like 90% of them do. So that's the best way to do it. Just get on there, and I'm telling you, you'll find night matches near you, all kinds of cool stuff. Find what you want, USPSA, rifle, 3-gun, whatever. It's all there on PractiScore. So once you've found a match, decide what kind of gun you're going to use. If it's going to be pistol or carbine, I would at least advise you to have a few ways to hold some mags on you. You can use your pockets, have a way to hold a couple mags, whether it's your pistol or your rifle, and that's quite literally all you need besides eye pro and ear pro. Have your gun and some way to retain mags and find the match. You honestly need nothing more to that than that's the bare minimum to get into it. That's all you can shoot a match with one mag on your hip and your mag to start in the gun, and usually that's 60 rounds of ammo. That is more than enough to get through a stage. Boom, you're a competition shooter now. That's all it takes.
Yep. I remember my first IDPA match. I shot it with a 1911, and I had 3 magazines and 200 rounds, and that was it. I just showed up, and when I showed up to the match, I was like, hey, we're here to shoot. He's like, okay, you're here for the IDPA match? And I was like, no, I was here for the Steel Challenge. And they're like, no, that's next week. This week's IDPA. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I guess we're doing that. And I didn't finish last, so that's all that matters.
Good.
I would say, Jacob, from my opinion, just like Clay said, figure out a way to hold some magazines, whether that's in cargo pocket, your regular pockets, or even just a magazine holster, and then find a match. My recommendation is to find a IDPA match and just run pistol, because pistol's a lot easier. It's easier to manipulate. Normally you're going to be in inside range, and it's a little bit more relaxing. And at least it is for the group that I shoot with out here. And that will basically tell you exactly what needs to happen for all the other types of competitions. So going to be some different rules, but by and large, they're going to follow kind of the same format. So the biggest thing that Clay and I have both said is just find a match and go do it, and just say, I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't be afraid to admit that you don't know what you're doing, and someone will take you underneath their wing and show you exactly what to do. So yeah,
everyone starts out as a scrub, man. Everyone's a scrub, but like my man just said, it's at least you'll learn all the commands and kind of how to be in that environment and be comfortable. You just got to do it at least once. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's see. I had another great question here. Frank Stallone. Good to see you there, Sly.
It's a good name.
Yeah. Any thoughts on mounting the light to a traditional AK without using a barrel clamp? I know an idea. What's your thoughts on that?
Ooh, I was gonna say use a barrel clamp light, but if not, you can use an Ultimac. You replace the upper gas tube and the Thorntail Travis Haley light mounts work really good with an Ultimac. All you're doing is adding real estate where your gas tube used to be. Gas tube is just a channel for your piston, so replacing it's not going to impede the function of your gun at all. There's a lot of really cool ways to actually use the vents between the upper and lower handguard to clamp on a light that looks pretty cool. I don't know the specific names. I'm sure like Angel of Verdun and some other people down in the comments know which ones I'm talking about to name the company specifically, but those are my top 3: barrel clamp, Ultimac, or mount using the vents between your upper and lower wooden or polymer handguards.
So the SpongeBob duct tape is not advisable.
Oh no, you could use that. I would recommend goon tape. Shameless plug.
The shameless
tape
plug?
it. Just tape it to the gun. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in taping it.
I mean, that's what Carnicon always did, right? So I mean, it worked for them.
Can we just take a minute?
Yes. F in the chat for our fallen brethren. We miss you. We miss you, Dugan.
Every day.
But yeah, there's some really cool clamps if you don't want to mess with swapping out the gas tube, which realistically it's not that hard. It's pretty easy if you know how to work an Allen wrench. You can put an Ultimac on. Just make sure that the Allen screws are facing the right direction, because I inserted them upside down. Anyway, but there are some really cool clamps that you can put in behind your wood stocks in the vent holes, and like I said, I think it looks pretty cool, especially if you want to keep that whole wood stock thing going on. Yeah. So one of the things that you've got going on here with your channel is you've been kind of looking at some of the AR variants to the 7.62 by 39 chamberings for those rifles. Those seem to have some interest. A lot of people are actually watching those videos. What has been your experience, your thoughts of shooting an AR chambered in 7.62 by 39 after shooting AKs for so long?
I don't believe there's any replacement for the AK. If you have to shoot 7.62 by 39, I'll tell you, get an AK. But if that is completely off the table, a lot of dudes just won't do it. So we were shooting the KS47, and what makes that one interesting is it takes standard AK mags, because there are a lot of 30 caliber uppers that take a slightly more curved Stanag mag. I think Duramag makes some really good ones, but even those, they're like 25 round capacity to be super reliable, so you're losing some capacity. I think there's a little too, there's too many detriments for me to really get behind it, and a couple of glaring problems. AK mags don't have any provisions for bolt hold open, and I don't know of a single 7.62 by 39 AR that has solved that problem with 7.62 by 39, unless you're using those weird Stanag mags. But then you're losing the potential of reliability that you're going to get out of the AK mags. If you're looking at something like the CMMG Mutant, which is more of like an AR-10 variant, a little more weight, a little more mass behind it, the recoil is definitely diminished, and you have a more substantial bolt and carrier. So we had a few issues with our PSA, and it's easily fixed. In fact, you actually sent me a link. You were like, "Have you thought about a side charging upper?" I'm like, "Yes." All the other 500 people in the comments have all told me a side charging upper, company X this, company X that. I get it. There's no side charging upper, so when you have an AR that has no bolt hold open, you're constantly ripping a T handle, which is not ideal to me. So that it was a little awkward. It's a completely different manual of arms, shooting an AR and an AK, and then something in between. It's an AK reload with an ART handle. It's very weird to get used to. But when we put it on the timer, I was substantially faster than a 5.56 AK using AR mags. So the reloads were still like around 3 seconds, which is a perfectly fast reload. So the T handle is probably in my head. I still don't like it. I remember you said something about possibly the accuracy being better. We didn't put anything on paper out to a great distance, but I know other people have, and they've claimed much better accuracy out of an AR. I haven't seen enough to where I noticed it, but most of the matches that we're shooting with this, they're all like 75 yards and in. To me, that's just not enough to see the accuracy difference. But at the end of the day, man, I dig it. If it's a way for you to keep using ARs, stay with what you know, what you're used to, but shoot that cheaper ammo that's available right now for a very short period of time because it's going up, do it. I honestly don't know what the most reliable 7.62x39 AR is. I don't know. The KS47 was reliable. We had like primer strikes, but I know a new trigger would fix that. A heavier hammer or a heavier hammer spring would fix it right up because those primers are really tight butthole.
Mm-hmm.
But that's literally the only issue. It was dead on reliable, hundreds of rounds and suppressed, dead on reliable. No complaints there.
And that's one of the advantages with an AR, especially with some of the manufacturers right now. The ARs you're not going to have to worry about the barrels being concentric or anything like that. You can slap on a suppressor and it's fine. Whereas if you're buying something imported, sometimes you're going to run into concentric barrel issues. Not always.
I think it's most of the time. I mean, man, I have horror stories. My Draco, a lot of guns, just nightmares to get finally ready to take a can. It gets really expensive. In an AR, it's just like, boom, you're done, ready to go.
Yeah,
from the factory.
Yeah,
that is a big downfall with commie AKs, block AKs. Now
the question is, with your KS47, if you do end up getting that side charging handle for that, it's going to be on the left side. So by default, you're going to rock and lock your magazine, and then you're going to have to come underneath with your right hand to hit it, just like you would with an AK with the left hand, right? I mean, that's by default. Right?
If I was shooting left-handed, yes.
No, I think that's the default. I honestly believe that should be the manual of all. An AR with a side charging handle on the left side and running AK mags. You have to run it with your shooting hand. I think that's just the way it's going to have to be.
Yeah, no, we can't be friends if you don't reach under to charge your AK. If any gun that has a charging handle, if you don't reach under to charge it, I'm just going to smile and nod and go, that's crazy, and then walk away from the conversation.
So I'm one of the guys that people hate when it comes to the AK community, because when I reload, I'll do my reload and then I lay it flat.
Sweep over top.
Yep. I come over top because that gives me the ability to push forward and pull back at the same time. And then after I do that, it's just right back up, instead of a lot of people, at least for me, I always bring my weapon into my workspace and do all manipulations. You can come underneath, and then you have to twist it. You know, you have to rotate it back and get it up onto your shoulder. This way, coming over the top, I'm able to bring it up easier and bring those sights back up to my eye a little bit easier. That's just the way. That's just me, personal preference. So,
and it's funny. It's AK's like the Bible, man. You can interpret it 100 different ways on how to run that thing. It's wild because, like, the way that you're doing it, my buddy Chris used to do that all the time, and he had a really bad habit of kicking the gun over, charging it like you do, with a round in the chamber, and flinging around at his nose with the force of 1,000 suns. And it would happen all the time. Just hit him right in the nose every time. And I'm like, man, just other way, dude. Just do the thing. Had that habit, but of course, if you know there's no round in the chamber, then you're fine. But would constantly plug himself in the face with that round. Man, we took a class with Center T. Love those freaking guys. And I used to make fun of people that did magwell grips on AKs. I thought it was totally antiquated. I'm like, that's old school. I get this. Chris Costa said, but he said, Haley said, man, when they showed us magwell gripping, coming into your workspace like you did, armpits holding all of the weight, the mags here, using their thumb, racking, they're already back on the mags, back on the shoulder. It was such a fluid, quick movement. Man, I find myself magwell gripping at competition, slowing myself down because it feels so good. And I used to hate it. but I never gave it a chance. So it's just crazy how many ways there are to run the AK that are great, that don't work for you, but for me they work great. And what I'm doing, you probably hate, but what you're doing is working great for you.
Yeah. I've gotten a few comments on, especially in my Zastava videos, where it shows me obviously bringing my stuff down into workspace, doing all my manipulations, changing up the magazine, and some dude jumped on there and he's like, "You're doing it wrong. You'd never take it away from your shoulder. You keep it up, and then you obviously grab your new magazine and change it out, never bringing it down off of your shoulder." And I said, I'm an AR guy. That's the way that I do it with an AR. That's the way I'm going to do it with an AK. If I can keep my manual of arms as close together as possible, it's going to keep my OODA loop as undisturbed as possible as well. So anyway, that's just, I plan on doing a video if I can get out to the range. I plan on doing a video on AK reloads and showing the 3 different types that I know of. And then just let the internet have a meltdown after that. So
let them melt down, man. Like work smarter. Tell the guy this, look, hey man, hold the AK on your shoulder, hold it as long as you can. We'll time it. Tuck it in your armpit in your workspace. Let's see how long you can hold it there without your muscles giving out. Hold something with an outstretched arm, or hold it close to your body. Gravity's going to win. I know this is super cool, guy fast, keeping it on your shoulder, but when your armpit takes all the weight off your gun, and now I can see my mag well, I can see my mag go in the mag well, you can't tell me that's not better.
Yeah.
Ergonomically, it's better.
Yeah, it really is. Again, it comes down to what works best for you. I'm never going to tell someone that my way is the only way. I was talking in the chat, Tammy, that I was needing to call Tammy to work out some things. She's going to get me set up.
Wait, is it Tammy 1 or Tammy 2?
It's Tammy B.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Got it.
She's local here. She's an instructor at one of the ranges, and she's going to help me get me set up with some training certs so that I can have some paper behind my name when it comes to instructing people. And that if I get to the point where I'm instructing, that's something I'm going to say is I'm going to tell you guys a way to do it. If this works for you, great. If it doesn't, find another way that works better for you. But I'm going to show you how I've learned to do it and let you make your own decision. I mean, that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, I think that's the type of person, especially new shooters, they respond to that. The people that yell at them and, might come off as a little intimidating, those kinds of trainers, man, they're kind of a turnoff for me. So what you described, that to me is the perfect type of trainer. This is just a way to do it. Might not be the right way. This is just a way that works for me. Try it while you're here. You paid to be here. Try it.
Yeah. And that's right or wrong. That's something I picked up from Tactical Response. I've been through their fighting pistol and their fighting rifle course, and they've come out, and a lot of people were kind of turned off by it because they're like, they only teach racking the slide on your pistol instead of using your slide stop to drop a slide on a new magazine. And they said, that is the way that you're going to do it here. Now, if you leave here and decide to do something different, that's on you. But while you're here, that's the way you're going to do it. And even myself, I was kind of turned off by it. I was like, but that's not how I do it. And so I just went along with it and then realized, oh, okay, so here's the thing. They're teaching you a way. It's not the way. The way is the way you do it. And if it works for you, it works for you. They have an argument for why they do it their way. Other people have an argument for the reasons why they do it their way. So, it is what it is. Jacob jumping in there with another great question. He says, if you were able to suggest an AK to someone that was looking to buy their first one, what would you suggest?
Ooh, the age-old question that happens about 100 times a day. What is the first AK to buy?
If it's 10 years ago, that question is a lot easier.
Yes, that is a very easy question, dude. Right now, it's difficult. I'm gonna shoot from the hip. I think right now the best bang for your buck is like a Zastava. I think that is the best bang for your buck right now, man. Or if you want to go American made, I have personally shot the KR 103 and the PSA 103. Both of those have been really nice, solid AKs. They do AK things. They take all the standard AK furniture, so you're open to the whole aftermarket world of the AK with either gun, and you can trust them. And you're getting in around 1,000 or less. There's no way you're touching anything else for under that.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So my perspective on that is it's that nebulous question that in order for you to really get a good answer, you have to ask more questions,
Yeah.
So
I apologize. I went straight to price, but I don't know.
No,
I mean,
that's
that's
good.
usually the factor.
Yeah, it really is. That's good. That's the first question: is how much do you have to spend? And if it's under $900, PSA, just get a PSA, or maybe the KUSA 103s. They're running about 900, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe a little more.
Maybe a little more.
more.
So if your first concern is price, then I would look at a PSA, and then the next two would probably be either a KUSA or a Zastava ZPAP. Zastavas are going to 900 to 1,000, but those are going to be really solid rifles. Now, the problem with Zastavas is that those are Yugos, so you're going to have to be very, very cautious about what you buy for the aftermarket stuff, because they have to be M70, Yugo, or Serbian aftermarket components. You can't just go out and buy a Romanian parts kit with or Romanian furniture set and slap it on. It's not going to work. So now, if you are buy once, cry once, what do you suggest?
Price not an issue, right? Okay. I think right now, when they come in stock, there's a bunch of really cool boutique AK builders out there. They're either building like Romanian virgin kits, or they're buying up really nice kits. To this day, and I'm going to break some hearts because I'm skipping over a lot of great builders, but man, to this day, I think what Meridian Defense is doing in California, those have to be some of the most top tier, just the baddest ass AKs available right now. They have a whole Apocalypse series, their Pestilence AK. Shot a couple of them in person. They are very expensive, but man, the quality, the part selection, the finishing work on these parts, everything's tumbled, everything's rounded and smooth and professionally assembled, suppressor tuned, suppressor ready. Meridian Defense, man, right now, I think that is the best AK builder in the country right now, maybe the world. I like what they're doing that much.
Yep. Yeah. And that's interesting that you say that. I've heard Meridian Defense, but I've actually just never really looked into them. So to hear you say that, that would be something I should probably start taking a look at, because I'm used to the normies, like Krebs Customs or Rifle Defense, or I mean, even Jim, he's now doing builds. If you can find a kit, good luck. But if you can find one, you can send it to him and he can get it assembled for you. He is doing that by request, which is pretty cool. Last week I looked at kits and they were pushing $1,800. So yeah, the ones that I could find.
And 1,800, man, I think there's even some Meridian off the shelf ready to go guns. Even Rifle Dynamics has some guns ready to go for like $1,800. But
yeah. Now,
I mean, when we're talking, Jim, we're talking like you're getting the godfather of AKs in this country. The reason I am doing any of this right now because of a video I saw 6-7 years ago from him. That's special. That's something special that you're going to pay for. Totally worth it.
Oh yeah, which is exactly the reason why I went ahead and dumped as much money as I have in the kit that I've got. The very fortunate thing with me is I've been able to, introduce myself and become friends with certain individuals to help me facilitate an introduction to Jim. And now I feel that I could call him a friend. So to hear him say, "Yeah, come on out, we'll get it set up as soon as you get that receiver," that's going to be awesome. So talking with him, I think the 74 kit that I've got, we're going to end up doing a Kyber pass variant of the AK-74. So it's going to be a 88 Ishmash AK-74 with a triangle
folder.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, like King of the Castle. That is peak aesthetic, man. God,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to beat.
I just got to figure out now what I want to do about optics mount. Do you do a side rail or do you do gas tube rail?
Something like that, man. I would have a side rail.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't, and maybe you can offer a different perspective. I've honestly heard a lot of, I'm just going to use the word AR guy. They're just a dude that's not into AKs or doesn't know much. I've honestly gone to the range with a really nice RS regulate mount, wraps around the receiver and plants my red dot over the dust cover. More than once, I've heard, I think it's so ugly the way it wraps around the gun. I don't like that because they're so used to ARs being very symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
Dots on top, sides are very slick. They see this big mass hanging off the side of an AK and they're thinking, wow, that's so, doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Right on. It doesn't make sense. But I've grown to love that and really appreciate it. The ease of swapping optics like that. Throw a lever, you have a scope. Throw a lever, you have a red dot. And it's basically just a really big, coarse dovetail mount is all it is. And I've never lost zero. And it's that aesthetic. It's that aesthetic that I think you have to have with an AK. You got to have a side mount.
Mm-hmm. Brian, I see your question. I'll come back to that here in just a second because we're going to have to circle back to yours. But you're absolutely right that aesthetic is very interesting, and I think it really boils down to the different perspectives on how Americans and Russians look at solving a problem. Just look how we did things as far as just building any type of military technology. It was refined. It was over-engineered. I mean, just think of the M1 Garand, think of the Sherman tanks. Everything about those things were refined. On the other hand, the Russians, they had the T-34 tank, ugly, and it was a beast. It made it just rolled over German tanks once it's finally got rolling. Then they developed the AK-47, ugly, but it just ran. It just ran. It didn't matter what was going on with it, just ran. I think that's really the biggest difference is us Americans, we look at something and we would like things to be symmetrical. To have something hanging off the side, there's like, oh, it's going to get caught on everything. It's not if you know how to set your gear up correctly and run your gear the way you have it set up, So I don't know. That's
such an interesting point. Russians are very serious and to the point, even with their personalities.
Oh yeah,
serious and to the point.
Yep. Let's see, Brian, we're going to circle back to the manual of arms thing. He says, didn't we in the US create that manual of arms because that's how we operate ARs? Russians' doctrine is to charge with the right hand. To be honest with you, I can't speak to Russian doctrine. Do you have any input on that?
I think it changes just about as much as American doctrine changes. I mean, it was, we were, doing all this stuff not too long ago, and it's constantly changing with the platform as the platform updates. If the Russians were charging with the right hand a while ago, they might not be doing it now. The only frame of reference I have is the Center T class, and these guys are ex-military, from the 80s that are now training, and it was both. You're charging with your left hand or right hand, depending on what phase the gun is in. Is it empty? Do you have a round in the chamber? Is it a malfunction? All of that determines which hand you're going to rip the charging handle with. There was a reason for it. There was no preference. Everything had a reason. So they use both. for 2 solid days, right-handed charging and left-handed charging, depending if you were shooting the gun left-handed or right-handed. Even if you are a total right-handed shooter, we were still ripping with the right hand for malfunctions. And this totally came into play in a match. I never ripped my gun with my right hand. It was that AR thing. Never break your hand off the firing position. Right hand should always stay here and manipulate it. And that was ingrained in my DNA. And Dima's telling us, Asuchka, malfunction, malfunction. And you would see him so fast rip the charging handle with his right hand and a spent case flying out of the gun. I'm at a match, my trigger breaks, right? Disconnector breaks. My gun is turned into a bolt action. Well, the AK guy and the AR guy are fighting in my head. AR guy saying, keep your hand on that trigger. AK guy saying, use your left hand to do everything. So I'm going bang, charge, bang, charge. Finally, it was way faster to get through the stage, ripping the charging handle with my right hand and pulling the trigger with a dead trigger. Way faster to get through malfunctions. And it saved the stage. Still finished with a decent time. So both, man. Yeah. Totally both. It just depends on what phase the gun's in.
Yeah. I don't want to lose this question because I'm going to miss it, but I do see that Keith, he jumped in there with a $5 super chat. Thank you so very much. I'll get to that here in just 1 second. But Frank Stallone jumped in here with another great question. How do you store steel case ammo to prevent corrosion?
I mean, a lot of times I buy it in Spam cans and I just don't open it until I need it. But I go through it so fast. I'm not a big prepper. I don't have stacks of Spam cans, but a lot of dudes have bought all their AK ammo. A lot of it's surplus. It's been in Spam cans for many, many years, and it's probably going to stay that way for many years. That's a great way to keep it nice. And honestly, if it's just indoors, I've never had problems with it rusting. Just indoors, it's in one of my spare rooms, in a closet near my gun safe. I've never had a problem. If you're keeping it in your garage or something, I would definitely, find a way, whether it's Tupperware or just leave it in the Spam can if that's how you bought it. But that's a great way to do it. I just try to keep my ammo inside, and I've never had a problem.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I do keep some of my ammo out in the garage because it's just easy for me just to grab it and go when I need to go to the range. It's, to be frankly honest with you, I have my ammo in ammo cans. So lugging that from inside the house to the truck, I get kind of lazy. So what I do is I take, I've got one of the Fat 50 ammo cans. So they're like extra wide 50 cal ammo cans, and they're usually pretty tall. So they call them Fat 50s, but they end up, I think they're like for grenades or maybe even mortars. I can't remember. But what I do is I take a plastic bag, not something from like a grocery store or something like that. One of the really durable plastic bags, line the ammo can with that, dump all my rounds in there. And then those silicone packets that you get in like almost everything that you buy that has any type of electronics in it, take those and just drop those in there, wrap it all up, and then close it. Most ammo cans are going to have a rubber lining that's going to seal moisture out of it. And then those silicone packets will take all the moisture out that's inside of there. So that's the way I run it. But
that's a great point.
Yeah. If you just keep it inside, you should never have a problem with that. So let's see. Keith, back to you. It says, I have a cure for you trying to run the AK like an AR. Get rid of that AR and run the AK as it should be. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I gave it back to the guy I was borrowing it from. And I'm like, hey, Tony, 600 people said you should get a charging handle for the side. He's like, what? I'm like, nothing. Thanks for letting me borrow it. Bye.
Hey, Alaskan.
And that was that.
I see you jumping in there. Thanks for jumping in. I really appreciate it. The Golden Tiger 56 grain 223. I haven't tried that. I do know that the Golden Tiger stuff for 7.62 by 39 has been great. I love that stuff. Love it. Surplus ammo came with good seals. Yep, definitely. How's ammo in where you're at as far as 7.62 5.45 by 39? Is it reasonably easy to find, good prices?
Funny you should ask. I know what it's like. I've been living amongst the boomers. So what I mean by that is the only way in Texas to get ammo is we have stores called Academy. I don't know if you have Academy Sports and Outdoors. You do?
Yep.
Okay. So the only way you get ammo at a reasonable price here in Texas is you drive to an Academy at 6 a.m. You get in line behind 30 boomers that do this for a living, and they flip the ammo. They're all wearing New Balance shoes, and they talk about that one IDPA match they shot 30 years ago, and they try to sound interesting, and the conversations are mind-numbing, but you got to sit there because it's the only way you're going to pay 30 cents a round. So that's what we do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at Academy. When the truck arrives, we wait for 3 hours to maybe grab 3 boxes of ammo, which has now been limited to 2 boxes of ammo. That's buying ammo in Texas.
So here at our academy, if they end up having anything, you can purchase 1 box of ammo that contains 100 rounds or more. If it's less than 100 rounds, you can buy 2 boxes. And I was just like, so they had some 223 the other day. I had to buy some. So I grabbed a box and I walked over and I was like, is this considered bulk? And they're like, yep. And I was like, 100 rounds is considered bulk? And he's like, uh-huh. I just laughed at him and walked away. And I was like, okay, hold on. I called up my buddy. I was like, hey, I need you to come to the academy right now. He's like, I was just there. And I was like, I need you to turn around and I need you to come back.
I shit you not. Excuse my French.
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten to where I bring a change of clothes to Academy. I go in with my mask. Hey, good sir, I would like to partake in some of your ammo. And then I go outside, change the mask, change the shirt, flip the hat around the other way. And I'm like, hey, guy, ready to buy some ammo. Next time, I mean, usually I can get 2 or 3 times, but I go until they recognize me and make me leave. It's insane. I don't like the storyline that we're on right now, and I hope it changes really soon because guns are way too expensive, and ammo is. I feel like I have to do criminal stuff. I literally have to bring disguises to Academy to buy ammo once or twice.
Yeah,
and it feels weird.
You should try this the next time you're at Academy. Have someone come with you, and this is what I do. No crap. I did this just the other day with that 223 ammo. I walked up with my box, set it down, paid for it. And the lady's like, thanks. Okay. All right. And then I looked over at my friend and I handed him my credit card right in front of her. And he walks up and puts his box down and runs my credit card. And they're like, thanks.
Yeah. It's almost worth going through the store and finding a couple of people. It's like, hey, I'll buy you lunch if you follow me through the ammo line real quick. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally fine. But man, it's wild. Short of that, so I'm subscribed to Target Sports USA. They have a Prime membership. It's kind of like Outdoor Limited, a lot of those websites. So you pay $100 a year, you get discounted rates and free shipping no matter how much ammo you buy. But I mean, they get nothing. I mean, I've seen Outdoor Limited get the most amount of online ammo that I've seen in the last 6 months as far as AK ammo, 7.62 and 5.45. Other than that, I mean, that's why I have to sit at Academy. I would honestly pay a little more to buy it online. I just never find it.
I do know that there's a shop here in town that I go to. I swing by 2, 3, 4 times a week just to pop in, just to say hi to the guys. And they have some 7.62 by 39 that is still sitting there it's been sitting there for like over a week, almost 2 weeks now. And yeah. I'm thinking it's Red Army standard in their 20 round boxes, the little square boxes.
It's good stuff.
And it's like freaking $9.95 a box. I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to get it. Just going to buy everything that they've got, just be done with it. So,
this whole ammo craze, I tell Rachel all the time, I'm like, do you know how lucky we are that we're into AKs? Like the 223 and 5.56 has been gone a long time. And 5.45 and 7.62 still stuck around a long time. And we were, up until not too long ago, still paying like 28 cents a round for 7.62. And we were still enjoying our guns. It's only just recently gotten really, really hard to find ammo. But we were joking last year, and we were calling it the year, the COVID years, the year of the AK, out of necessity, because it's the only gun anyone can afford to shoot, which is kind of a good thing. There were more people buying their first AK in 2020 than ever before for that reason, because of the ammo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, okay. So Dubs is saying that SG Ammo has 1,000 rounds for $399 of 7.62 by 39, but it's corrosive. So
Well, it must be Yugoslavian then. A
yeah.
lot of Yugo ammo just came in the country.
I was like,
It might be Yugo ammo.
Yeah, it's like, I'll jump on that. But then it's corrosive. I don't even want to deal with it. Which is not hard. All you got to do, I mean, you just run your garden hose over your rifle and you're done. It takes care of it. The reason why it's corrosive is because of the salt that's inside. But and the water will take care of it. But if you don't do it right after the range, then you're going to have problems. So
big problems.
Yep. Maximus saying, I've been completely priced out of shooting, trying to save for a house with all these city people moving out and cracking up the house prices. Yeah. I mean, so in March, I have Cert 1 with carbine course with Chris Costa. That's 1,400 rounds right there. And they said that they are not going to change the round count. It is 1,400 rounds. So I'm like, and you can't even find steel case stuff right now. I'm just like, good thing I have enough. And then May is Baratus is going to be here. And that's another carbine course that I'll take. I probably will run an AK for that one. Just to be done with it. So, DeLance is jumping in there, man. What's going on?
Hey, DeLance.
I have my first AK. It's in a baggie. I still have to build it. I think he's got a pretty.
Is getting his first AK.
Yeah, I think he's got a pretty good hookup on getting it built, though. So,
hey, DeLance, I know a guy if you need help getting it built.
Yeah. Let's see. Ray says, I feel lucky now. Bass Pro lets us have 5 boxes of anything. Scored 5 boxes of 150 rounds of 5.56 yesterday. Then got someone to get me 5 boxes of Tula 223. Well, congratulations to you. I know my buddy, Kansas Law Dog, he found the same thing at Cabela's yesterday or over the weekend. So congrats on that. Freaking Lag Demon says he got a Sega for $250.
Oh, how? They're out there.
Yeah,
it might have been. It's probably sporterized in the sporterized configuration, but still, that's a good price.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the videos that I caught last week that you did was with your Draco AK. Now you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to sound pretty ignorant here, but I always thought that like the Dracos were kind of like the IO AKs of the imported world. Is that not the case? Are Dracos pretty decent?
Yeah, I mean they're so in the rap game, a Draco is pretty much any short AK. Your M92s, your mini, micros, and full size, it's all a Draco. Hell, full size AK is called a Draco in the rap game. But in real life, an actual Draco is made in the same factory that all of your RH10s, your M10s, your Cougars, your PSLs, your what are they called? The Romanian RPKs that are coming in the country. Someone help me out in the comments. Same factory. So it's the same quality you can expect out of a good Com Block Romanian. I mean, it's all out of Cougar factory. It's all the same factory. And to me, the Draco, it was kind of slept on for a long time. For the longest time, those were like between $500 to $600 guns. The full-size Draco. We're not talking about like the mini and the micros, which are just laughable, but the actual, it's like a 12-inch barrel. And they're great. Cold hammer forged barrel, chrome lined, built on Com Block machinery. in a former comm block country. I mean, it's all the stuff that you want that goes into an AK that you want as far as it imports. All checks all the boxes. So the quality is definitely there, and you get that cool combo block. And what's really cool about the Dracos, if you compare them to your RH10s, Wassers, and your M plus M M10s, which is just another importer from Romania, they actually have magwell dimples. So all of your Wassers are slab-sided, and an AK to me just looks a little more pleasing with dimples. So you get the dimples, you don't get any side rails, so no way to mount optics on them, unless you have mine. It was installed, but other than that, it's a really nice comm block AK. And what's so beautiful about the Draco is the barrel length and the round that it shoots. 7.62 by 3.9, as Ashley down in the comments likes to say, at 10.5 inches, that's when the magic starts to happen with that round. So it's a really great SBR host.
It's not just with that round, according to Ashley.
Well, no comment. Wait, shenanigans. That was a safe word, right? Yeah. So great SBR host, full velocity out of that round. And so the way I understand it, 16 inches with 7.62 by 3.9, what is that? It's like 2,400 feet per second. You can cut it all the way down to just below, right at 10 inches, and you've lost maybe 200 feet per second, which is why it's just an awesome suppressor host and an awesome SBR host. Tons of velocity, but the gun's great, totally sound, man. Now you got to be careful. I like the guys at Sentry, man. Got some good buddies over there, but there's two different kinds of Dracos, so I don't want you to get bamboozled when you're looking around. There's the Romanian Draco, which they're selling for like $1,200 right now, and there's the American-made, still stamped Draco. It's an American-made version of the Draco that's much cheaper. I would steer away from that. God, I hope Jason's not watching this. I would steer away from that gun. Just look for an actual Romanian. IO's totally different. I think what you're referring to, it was IO or Pioneer Arms. They made the Hell Pup. Looks like a Draco. Looks just like it. It's got a lot of American-made parts, a lot of cast parts. Those are a no bueno. But the actual Draco's good to go, man. In the rap game, it's great.
Yeah, what I was trying to key in on the IO comment was obviously IO AKs were trash. I mean, yeah, they would run for a few hundred rounds, then usually blow up. But I was told that the Dracos, the Sentry Arms Dracos, were basically assembled here in the US and they had cast parts. I guess what you're saying is I was misinformed.
Well, think about it like this. It's a pistol. So pistols get around all the weird importation stuff. They can come in totally assembled. It's an imported pistol. It's not a rifle. So it can come from Romania with all those awesome European parts, and we don't have to change out anything. Which is just another thing that makes the Draco great. It's not beholden to rifle importation bans. It has to be all 922R compliant when it comes over here with tiny little magwells that have to be reamed out with a guy that wants to get off work early on a Friday and might goober it up a little bit. Dracos are exactly the way they left Romania, which is awesome. It is a true to form import.
It's funny that you brought that comment up about milling out the magwell, because I said the same thing in my Zastava video. Because the Zastavas, they're imported exactly how you buy it. You don't have to worry about the magwell being reamed out or anything. What they do is they change out different components to ensure that it meets 922R compliance. So the trigger mechanism is from Serbia. The bolt carry group's from Serbia. The magwell still accepts normal AK mags. What they've done is they've used American furniture and some of the magazine components to get around the 922R compliance. So that's pretty cool. Maximus is saying that he won a Dead Air Wolverine at Kalash Bash. Been looking for his Zastava M92 SBR ever since.
Man, I'm trying to remember who Maximus was because we gave 2 of them away. Man, he might have been at KB. We gave 2 away at KB1 and we gave 2 away last year. We gave a Wolverine away in 2020 to the guy that could yell and give his best Wolverines to the crowd. And I don't think that's Maximus. So I'm not sure how he won that.
That's pretty awesome. So let's talk about Kalash Bash. So this dude won a dead air Wolverine from Kalash Bash. What other things are you guys doing when it comes to Kalash Bash? Let's just break it down a little even further. What exactly is Kalash Bash? Do you aim to get Kalash Bash? And then let's talk about some of the other things going on with it.
What Kalash Bash is it's a festival, if you will. It has 3 major parts. You have a competition that you can sign. It's an upcharge. There's a competition you can shoot. The competition has a few different divisions, all based around AKs, like an open division, like a small caliber, a small bore, and a big bore division. So that's like your 5.45s over here, your 7.62s over here. We even have a pistol caliber division because there's so many 9mm AKs to choose from now. It only made sense to have that division. So a full AK match, and we also allow other types of com block guns, SKSs, VZ58s, all that kind of stuff, totally allowed. Galils, all totally allowed. So that's happening in the background, and that has a huge prize table attached to it. And we'll get to that in a second. You also have a massive campground, big bonfire, several hundred people out here camping, partying at night. A lot of the vendors, we all remember the vice president from KUSA getting drunk with all of the campers, among others. Justin Ash from JMac, all these awesome vendors hanging out at the campsite. What I compare the campsite to is a lot of us aren't fortunate enough to go to SHOT Show. Those that are might not even get a chance to go to the awesome parties, the after parties that happen. Those are like invite only. The campsite is like an after party that everyone's invited to. You and all your friends are hanging out. There's showers, there's bathrooms, there's concessions, fire, music, games, and all of the vendors are hanging out with you late at night, kicking back a few cold ones, having a good time, making content, taking pictures. Huge campsite. That's honestly my favorite thing about the event. And the final part is the vendor expo. So over the 2-day experience, this is a 2-day event. You have dozens of vendors all setting up booths, some of which are on hot bays, allowing you to come up and shoot machine guns, totally free of charge. Walk up and shoot your first machine gun. There's dozens of machine guns out there. Suppressor demos, aftermarket support demos, AK builders are having demos, speed loaders. We have what are they called? GOA. We have Gun Owners of America out there this year with a booth giving demos, offering their support. Texas Law Shield offering legal support. A huge space to go hang out with vendors. It's like a SHOT Show for AKs. It's like the SHOT Show that only has the stuff you want to see if you're into AKs and nothing that you don't want to see. So all of that. This is on a major private range in Eagle Lake, Texas, called the Ranch TX. You can actually look that up, have aerial shots, huge, beautiful range. The range actually has a lot of, it has an ag exemption, so there's zebras running around, there's exotic deer running around at any moment's notice. It's kind of a thing that you get used to. It's just this big AK party, man. It's a huge love fest. But the biggest thing is a lot of you guys that interact with each other on Instagram, YouTube, people that watch this podcast, if you're coming this year, you'll be walking around. It's like, oh, there's Brandon Herrera. Just walk up and go talk to him. There's freaking Fit and Fire. Let me go get a picture. Oh my God, there's that one vendor. I got to go meet these guys. There's Mike Pappas of Dead Air just standing there eating a cheeseburger. I'm going to go hang out with him. It is a sensory overload if you are into AKs, and the people surrounding that platform. That's Kalash Bash, man.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I am excited for this year. I will be camping. I'm working on getting my Tacoma set up specifically to camp. Hopefully that next stimulus check comes along so I can get everything set up. But
man, you make too much money to get a stimulus check.
I think I actually do. The way that they change things with the new one, I think, yeah. So with the shooting competitions, about how many people are usually signed up for that? Ballpark.
So it's actually grown each year. Last year, if memory serves, I think we had, oh man, 250 shooters. I think we had 250
Wow.
shooters. And we had about 300. So like 250 people were shooting. We had another 300 people hanging out at the expo. All together, we almost had 600 tickets sold. People, boots on the ground. That's not including staffers and vendors. Quite a few people. But this year, I think we're actually going to be able to sell a few more tickets to the match. I'd love to push it closer to 300 shooters.
That would be pretty awesome.
Forgot to mention something. So 2 years in a row, we have had $50,000 in prizes on the prize table. I'm talking guns, dozens of top-tier AKs, Galil Aces from IWI, PSA 103s before you could buy them, KR 103s before you could buy them, KP9s, dead air suppressors, boutique kit builds from M13, custom Cerakoted RH10s, Lee Armory builds, just tons and tons of guns. Tons and tons of accessories. We gave away cases and cases of ammo last year, totaling $50,000 in prizes. And here's the beauty of it. A lot of that is dedicated to people that do well at the match. Even if you did poor at the match, we gave 47th place overall prizes, 74th place overall prizes. The guy that came in dead last at the match got 1,000 rounds of ammo and a drum mag, and we kicked him in the ass and said, time to go practice, dude. Don't cheese it up next year, and walked away with ammo. The rest of the table gets given away completely at random. Every ticket sold is entered in the prize table. Dead Air Wolverines going to people that were literally there just hanging out. Guns going to people that were just there hanging out. Walking away with freaking 308 Galil Aces and stuff. I mean, beautiful. It's just a beautiful time. And it's, I know that some people are totally intimidated from competitive shooting. You don't have to shoot the match to win prizes. You don't have to. But if you do shoot the match, there are prizes that only you can win. So it's a good time, man.
So Alan Powell saying, so you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. You have a very good chance. Bring your dad. Bring your grandma. Tell her to buy a ticket. Just sit here. Hold on to your ticket number. Hang out until Sunday. Maybe you'll win me something.
This year, when do you expect to have Kalash Bash? I know that sometimes it's happened in last year. It was in October. What are you thinking?
So year one, it was a spring event. Because of things, we had to reschedule to October 9th and 10th last year. We've decided to keep it at that date one more year. October 9th and 10th, same time, same place, same range, all the same. Dates are the same. Start time, end time, it's all the same from last year. You can see all that info on the Kalash Bash social media pages. That's the best place to stay up to date with updates.
Awesome. So one of the things that I will do once this is done and gets settled, I'll put a pinned comment into Kalash Bash's website. So if you guys are interested in checking out all of that, is there a way to support Kalash Bash if someone's not able to go? I mean, is there an opportunity to donate to help with expensive or the range or anything like that to kind of relieve some of the burden you guys have?
No, there's no reason for that. Honestly, I guess support the people that are bringing it to, Third Pin Threads. They're a big supporter that we, that's who makes all of the awesome branded t-shirts and the hats that we do for KB every year. Support Distant Arms, pay them to build you a cool shotgun. If you're local to the range, go get a membership, become a local at the range. Other than that, don't worry about it. Try to make it next year.
I'm excited about this year. Even if none of my other friends show up, I will be there with bells on. And luckily,
you have to LARP.
I will LARP. Yes,
okay.
I will have my Adidas tracksuit and my balaclava ready to go. I will need some help from my Patreon crew. If you guys could help support me in getting a gold chain, I will do the gold chain as well. That's a joke. I'm just kidding, guys.
Not a joke.
Oh my gosh. I got you, Luke. I see what you're saying. Let's see. I did have a question I wanted to back up to. So again, you guys, if you're interested in Kalash Bash, just Google Kalash Bash. It's Kalash Bash TX, isn't it?
Kalash Bash TX. If you want to kind of see what it looks like. Brandon Herrera's got some great videos on it.
Mhm.
He has been a staple of KB the last 2 years. Delance has given us some great coverage. We actually have a video that we haven't released yet. We're going to release a 3-minute long video that our personal camera crew did to show you the awesomeness of last year, not safe for work stuff. But I urge you to go check out his videos if you want to really see what it's like, see what the range looks like. Brandon's got a great video on it.
Yeah. Awesome. I did want to circle back because we did have someone here. I'm not even going to say name. It's just that ridiculous. But it references the president's son. Let's just leave it at that. He says, Draco or M92? Which would you do?
I say Draco because it has more aftermarket support and a slightly longer barrel. It's AKM spec.
Yeah.
So all the AKM stuff fits it.
There you go. About Kalash Bash, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. You mentioned the range. What part of Texas is that near?
Eagle Lake. That is, if you know where Houston is, Eagle Lake is maybe an hour and a quarter northwest of Houston.
Okay.
So if you were to fly into the state, you would fly into Bush Intercontinental Airport, and you would be just maybe a little over an hour drive away.
Gotcha. Just responding back here to Ashley here real quick. We're gonna try to sneak her down if her day job doesn't allow her to go. We'll sneak her in. So
can I just gush on Ashley for a second?
Absolutely.
I gotta. God, she and two people like Angela Verdun, Tufu, they've come out both years. They have been some of the biggest champions for the event. Just positivity, man, with me goes a long way. And those are two of the most positive people I've ever met. She kind of bamboozled me because the whole time last year, she's like, I can't come. She's like, I'm going to buy a ticket, even though I'm not coming. I'm like, tear, right? And then she freaking shows up. And there was a moment at the end of KB, we were like ending ceremonies, just crowd, everyone's kind of dying down. And that's when I'm like red in the face, pouring sweat. We're finally done. And she kind of hits me at the right moment. She comes over the table and shakes my hand and goes, dude, great job. And man, it choked me up so quick. I don't know why. It hit me right in the gut because she's such like a familiar face, and it was so comforting to have her there when everything was coming to a close. Love you, Ashley. We just talked earlier. Love you, Ashley.
Yeah, she was able to hook me up over the weekend with some edited photos of mine. I posted it in my stories, which
those were so awesome. Yeah,
they're so cool. She's such a good friend, and just like you said, she is absolutely a champion for the AK community. She really needs to be. Why she's not blowing up and tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, I don't know, because she deserves every single one of them for sure.
She's like the best kept secret of the AK world.
She really is,
and it's not right that it's that way, but that's what it is.
And the cool thing about it is, and I know that we're fanboying over Ashley right now, which is awesome, but not only is she such a great champion and a stand-up representative of the AK world, but she's also incredibly intelligent. I can remember driving down, this would have been November of 2019. I was driving down to Florida to take my daughter to Disney World, and I'm having a conversation with her over the phone. Probably not the most intelligent thing to do, but I was trying to kind of pick her brain on things that I could do video wise. And she just started rattling off, oh, you can do this. You can do this. You don't need to buy any more AKs to compare things. Just all you need to do is, talk about reloads, talk about, sighting your AK in, how to take care of it, all of these other things that you can do to kind of discuss the platform and encourage people to look at it. So if you guys are interested in finding Ashley on Instagram, please do, and follow her, give her a follow, because she's got some awesome content. You can find her at _angel_of_Verdun. Should come up. I know that what I have seen in the last week or so, that she's been kind of, I don't know if I want to say shadow banned, but it has been increasingly more difficult for me to tag her into stuff. So
I've noticed that with quite a few people that I usually tag, and you guys know how it is on Instagram. You tag someone, usually the first few letters and their name pops up. I'm having to fully type out people's names to pull their name up. I can't even, man. I don't know why Instagram does that. It could take one person flagging your account for something that it didn't like. It's all it takes.
Yep. I just posted her handle in the chat, so give her a follow. Yours is the same way. I have to type KLAYCO47 before you even pop up. But with
the glory days of Instagram are gone.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 years ago. I remember there was a time we were gaining like 1,000 followers a week. There was nothing. I mean, we could film some dumb video and it would get 250,000 views like that, because the search function showed gun content. Mm-hmm. You could scroll through the search function and see random people's channels and go, that's cool. That's cool. Mine's like nothing but car stuff now, and I don't like car content. Once they took gun stuff out of the search function and all those random eyeballs go away, it's like someone flipped a switch on gun channels. And I think it happened on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Mm-hmm. It just stopped growth.
Yeah. One interesting things though is with your partner in crime, all I have to do is type in Slav, and hers is like one of the first that pops up.
Oh.
So it's interesting. I know. Who knows what it is, but with you, like I said, I have to type in your entire name for it to come up. So
it's a short name, so
yeah. Well, I couldn't remember if it was like KLAYCO.47 or _47. So I had to erase the post and then have to search it. And they're like, okay, that's how you spell it.
Yeah. The good thing is there weren't like 10 KLAYCO47s already where we had to start doing things like that. In fact, it's funny. I don't know if you follow Mike Pappas, but his name is Mike Pappas 1. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, like, why the 1? He's like, well, apparently there's already a Mike Pappas on Instagram. And it turns out it's really boring. So I just put a 1 on there. Kept my same name. Worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Does Ashley have a YouTube channel? No, she doesn't. She should.
And I wish she did, because, man, the way she manipulates guns, she's not only she's super intelligent, she's very talented with firearms. Just safely, fluid, just, oh, man.
And the crazy thing about it is she's just not relegated to the AK-47. She runs AKs, she runs ARs, she runs
I hear she's really great with Brins. I read that somewhere.
Yes. I want to say, I'm going to get it wrong. An FAL. Mm-hmm. Is it an FAL? Ashley, you got to help me here. Is it an FAL or is it a G3? I know I'm messing that up, or whatever it is, M91, whatever. I've seen her run one of those, and when she runs it, man, freaking 308, just freaking sewing machine, you know?
Yep.
That muzzle is so flat. Oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous. She posted a video today. Or she shared a video from somebody else, and it was showing her just running a pistol, and her reloads on that pistol was so fast. I'm just like, man, making me look like a freaking chump. So,
oh no, she makes us all look like turds.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely, she's very talented.
Keith, I don't have Instagram. You need to fix that. If you've got Facebook, you pretty much have Instagram. You might as well just go ahead.
It's not just for girls. Rachel talked me into starting an Instagram like 5 years ago, and I'm like, isn't that for girls? It's like, I think they post gun stuff on there. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And look where we are now. We make fart noises on the internet.
Will the The funny thing about it is, it was probably about 6 years ago. My son started his Instagram account, and I made a joke about Instagram is uh, for the people that don't read, because it's just people posting pictures, and and then fast forward a few years later, and then I start my own, and I'm just like, pfft. And now I don't even mess with Facebook. All of my Instagram stuff automatically dumps into Facebook, and I just run Instagram because it's just, for me personally, it's more user friendly. Just my perspective on it. So
I totally agree.
Yeah. One of the last things I wanted to dive into, we've kind of talked about it, and we've sprinkled it in throughout the live chat. AK Mario, what's going on, man? Just jumping in. It doesn't matter if you're late. It's a pleasure to have you. You just missed out on Clay and I's oodling over Ashley. So,
Yep.
But we sprinkled it through the live chat already. What are some of your favorite upgrades for an AK-47? What are some of the things that you like to do? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you're a huge fan of the ALG triggers.
Man, I don't even know how to spell that. Yeah, no, the ALGs, man. Gosh, I can't think of anything that to me made that platform so enjoyable to shoot for the price and what you get out of it. Yeah. Number one on my list is the ALG trigger. Number two, I would have to go with a really good muzzle device, and I land on JMac Customs. I've tried many devices. Something about their 4-chamber RRD 4C brake and many different thread pitches. Whatever thread pitch you have, they make that brake for it. Kills recoil and adds no flash. It's witchcraft is what it is. It's like sriracha sauce, man. Put that shit on everything. Lastly, a really good red dot, and I'm head over heels for Trijicon. Anything Trijicon, the SROs, the MROs, the RMRs. I love putting those, especially the small RMRs like slide riding optics on an AK, because you can get them so low to dust covers with various mounts. And just the way an AK is built, you really want to run optics lower to the dust cover than you would on an AR, with like lower third co-witness risers. It doesn't really work on AKs unless you want really high chin welds. So that's me, man. The trigger, a really nice 4-chamber brake, and throw an RMR on there, and I'm good to go.
Right.
Love it.
What are your thoughts on some of those adjustable pistons and those types of things? Or is it something that you think is a must, or is it a like to have?
It's a must if you're going to suppress it. I mean, if you're going to buy a can, just buy the piston. There's no way I would suppress an AK without it. As we talked about earlier, AKs are overgassed for a reason, whether it's hot, freezing, cold, bad ammo, good ammo, tight primers, loose primers, whatever. AKs are overgassed to not worry about any of that. Temperature has a huge effect. Even if your round is icy cold, that has a huge effect. All of that affects it. Overgassing really gets rid of that problem. I tried for a while using the K&S pistons to tune recoil. I thought maybe at a match I could get an edge. But the second you take some gas away on an AK and really find that sweet spot, if the temperature changes, if you tuned it using wolf ammo, but now you're going to use RAS ammo the next day and the grain weight's different, you might have short strokes because now your gas system's set up for a different grain weight, or you set it up on a 76-degree day and now it's 40 degrees outside and the gas system just doesn't work. So I've kind of gone back on that. I don't think they're great for tuning your recoil, at least in my experience. But for tuning a suppressor, hands down, it's the best thing you can buy. I mean, it's awesome. You can make them shoot so soft, and the suppressor's giving you all the back pressure and the reliability that you need. The can's going to make that gun run. Awesome.
Yep.
Not a necessity, though. If you don't plan on suppressing it, I probably wouldn't install one.
Yep. Would you, and if you wouldn't do one of those, would you just switch out the spring, the recoil spring on that, or is that unnecessary as well?
Man, I think a really good muzzle brake's gonna do everything you want it to do.
Good point.
You can't. So they make heavier springs. It's like they have like plus 5%, plus 10%, maybe plus 15% springs. I know Mario's in the comments. He's got a big brain on this stuff. He can tell you about it.
Yeah, he does.
I've never tuned recoil with the enhanced springs. Never tried it anyway. If anything, they make chambering the gun way harder because they add quite a bit of risk. It's just charged and starts to become really difficult. You take a lot of that smooth, slick action away because the bolt's wanting to stay home a lot harder now. But man, I'm telling you, a really good muzzle brake and just having a proper stance, really squaring up shoulders, leaning into it, you're going to kill recoil.
Yep. Yeah, that's a very good point. AK Mario, he jumped in there. He says, agreed with Clay on the ALG, ran a 104 rifle at Kalash Bash. Only thing I changed was the trigger to an ALG. So, yeah.
And he won his division with a bone stock AK and an ALG trigger.
Well, I mean, it's AK Mario, so of course he did. But I mean, one of the things in talking about the ALG triggers, you've got a video on how to shoot an AK like it's fully auto, and
no, that's edited.
Of course, it's you speed it up and everything too. So
yeah, but I'll play along.
But realistically, I mean, to see how. I mean, you're like the Jerry Miculek of the AK world. The way that as fast as you can manipulate that trigger is amazing.
You know, it's crazy. I don't think I could do it without the ALG because it has such a short travel. It's a single stage trigger. It breaks like a carrot, and the reset is like nothing. So I mean, the trigger is just barely moving. And if you go back to the Call of Duty days, if you're using the Python and Black Ops 1, you really start to get good on trigger pull. So I think go out and rent Black Ops 1, use your Python, put the snub nose barrel on it, really get fast on that, and then you can shoot fast on an AK. That's literally all I did to train for
it. There you go. So there it is, everybody. There's the secret. You have to become a gamer to run an AK fast.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. We've been running for over an hour and 45 minutes. It has gone super fast. These are some of the greatest conversations that I have is when, an hour and a half, hour 45, 2 hours go by so fast. It goes by so fast that my accent light battery died on me.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like you're in the bat cave now.
I know. I would like to think that it's a bat cave, but interesting thing about an ALG trigger, I just want to throw this out here before we start shutting things down, is I have had an ALG trigger since 2017 when I went to Iraq Veteran 8888's range day for the very first time. And I got just out of sheer luck, got in good with the Geisley guys. And they're like, hey, here's a trigger. And I'm like, cool. And I was like, oh, this is for an AK. And they're like, do you have an AK? And I was like, I will get an AK. Yet to install one of those yet. Because I'm kind of scared to install it. I don't know what I'm doing. Any tips?
Super easy. It's super easy. There's just one little hard part, one caveat. There's been a couple of guns where I actually had to start clearancing the trigger a little bit. An M92 and my Draco. Mario, what do you call that? The hook that actually holds your hammer back before the disconnector kicks it forward. There you have single hook triggers, and maybe it's the sear. You have single hook triggers and double hook triggers. ALG is a single hook trigger. I've actually had to clearance the hook a little bit because the carrier it needed a little bit removed to get past it. But that's been like 1 out of 12 of them that I've put in. They're basically drop in. Okay, it's 2 pins that come out of the receiver. You pull your guts out. You take your factory spring, pop it on the new trigger. You set everything back in, and you run your 2 trigger pins through. The only critical part, they supply you with a small roll pin that roll pin is what your safety engages. You have a safety that basically rolls a little flapper paddle over your trigger and keeps your trigger from moving. Well, there's too much clearance there and you can actually fire it on safe. So they give you a roll pin to install, and then you clearance that roll pin to just fit underneath your safety, and then you're done. That's honestly the only hard part. If you have a file and a set of channel locks, I just use channel locks to squeeze my roll pin in, file it to size, pop it in place, done. I could probably walk Rachel through it, and she's never done it before. Her first time I could walk her through it. It's that easy.
Yep. And that's something I really want to do that.
It's easy. Just take the plunge. Just do it.
And that's what I've learned time and time again. Just do it and you'll be fine. It's like purchasing my first AR or AK receiver for that Ishmash. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do I do the double trigger humps? Do I do the double trigger hook cutout? What do I put on for the engravings and all this other stuff? And I have that book that's sitting right behind you, tells me exactly everything I need everything I need to do. It's been sitting in my bookshelf. I've sat on it for months now, and finally, just 2 weeks ago, I finally ordered my receiver. So, anyway, Ashley, good night. Thanks for joining. Love you big time. Thanks for joining us. It's always great to have someone as awesome as you in the chat. So, also wanted to say real quick, thank you to the Grim Reaper. Thanks again for my gift. Hope you liked yours. Yes, you're more than welcome. I will definitely have something very similar to that next year for you. And I know exactly which one to get you because I'm almost positive you won't have it. And I did like mine. That was pretty awesome. That's my brother. He ended up, he got me a Master Kin cameo for my birthday.
Cool.
He just talked shit on me the entire time. So that was pretty awesome. So,
cameo's great.
Oh yeah.
It's
so awesome. So, I say that we probably should just go ahead and wrap everything up. I've got my German Shepherds down here whining. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but she's saying that it's time to go potty. So I need to go ahead and wrap things up. Clay, thank you so much for joining us. Open invitation. Anytime you want to come on, you're more than welcome. I'll probably reach out to you to have you on again in the future as well. We can talk more in-depth AK stuff. We can get really into the nuts and bolts on some things if you want. We can do that. So AK Mario, thank you for joining us in the chat room, and everybody else as well. I know that Trenton, he said to bring my AK over to the shop. He'll show me exactly how to do it for the ALG trigger. So we will do that maybe Friday. If you're working, Trenton, Friday, we'll do that. Everybody else, really do appreciate all the questions. Great questions tonight. This is, it's always such a great topic to talk about AKs, and for people who are not used to that platform, to get some questions answered is always a good time. So again, Clay, always welcome. At the very least, I will see you and your partner in crime in October. Hopefully it works out. Tickets are available right now. Is that correct for Kalash Bash?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Date has been announced and location. We're going to wait a little bit just because we have such a long year. But
Sure.
We have a few more big promos to announce. We have a big announcement for the campground that's going to get everyone excited. If you're a 007 fan, I've already said too much. And keep an eye out. We'll have tickets available very soon. We're building the website now. We want to actually have a proper website for the tickets to go on sale.
Awesome. Good. All right. Well, we will close things down tonight. Again, if everything works out for next week, if I can get a response, I'm hoping to have Tommy Built on next week. We'll talk about what's going on with his T36 clone and what the ATF, if not, do to get a different guest for you guys. Follow me on Instagram. I'll let you guys know what's going on. If you haven't already followed Clayco on all the social media stuff, please go do that as soon as you get off of this right. And with that, I think we're going to call it a night, man. I'll give it last word to you. Anything you want to say?
I appreciate you having me on. And I guess that's it, man. If you don't have an AK, go get one while you can.
Yeah.
You won't regret it.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. We'll get out of here. Thanks so much, guys. As always, keep calm and carry. We will see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.